Are we supposed to have another member of the board? Supposed to be seven?
I recruited and
No
nobody
victims.
no victims. So I thought at this point, maybe we would just wait until we do our annual recruitment and recruit for 2 positions. Because that was just the end of a position anyway, and then it would be a full cycle. Because it was hard, it's hard to get people from, yeah. Okay, we're ready now.
Ron, okay. Call to order the July 11th, 2018 Oregon City Library Board at 5:07. In attendance are Ken Hall, Jan Wallander, Scott Edwards, and Larry Osborne, with an excused for Don, and possibly Nick will join us. Staff are Maureen Cole and Denise Butcher. So we have the agenda in front of you. Any changes to the agenda? Okay. First agenda item is the approval of the June board meeting minutes. I assume you've all had a chance to review those. I noted one minor correction. I should do this after we have a motion, but the approval of the minutes, it says downright move to approve the minutes of the April 2018 minutes. That was probably meant to be the May 2018 minutes. So just note that change. So
Move approval with that change.
Okay. So
Second.
it's been moved in second to approve the minutes with the change of April to May. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No one opposed or abstained. Okay. So no public for public comments unless they're in incognito there. So we'll move on to library director report.
Great, thank you so much. So, the month of June was very, very busy. We had just under 39,000 people at the door count. And so the statistical report, I think next month it will look even better, but I kind of finally have it in the format that I think you'll plan on seeing for the next several months, unless you tell me something differently. And what I have for columns is the current month and the current fiscal year to date. And then I added a new column in its last month, because often it's like kind of comes up like, oh, I wonder what we had last month. And it's like on this completely different spreadsheet. So I find that very useful myself. And then I think I'll add some more black lines though, separating some of these things. Current month last year, and then we can start comparing the current month last year plus the last fiscal year to date, and then see the difference. So what I'm really happy to report about is that last month we had almost 39,000 people on our door count, for a total of over 420,000 people for the entire year, or at least door counts. And that is over 100,000 more door counts than last year.
Wow.
Seems like a lot.
Yeah, it seems like a lot, doesn't it? So I think that is just super impressive. And then if you want to jump down to the bold line where it says total all loans, including e-materials, that's just above the mid-page. If you go to the far right column in green, the bottom figure is 106,407, and that means that that figure in circulation is also over 100,000 more than last year. So we definitely have been very, very busy. Yeah. And
that sort of supports that the door count isn't just people in and out or other events. I mean, that's some of it, but it's.
oh yeah.
But clearly circulation is way up too. So
Well, circulation is way up. Yeah, so you're right. I mean, if it was just like the door count, then it'd be like, okay, it's been busy, but you know, lots of people using the bathrooms or something, who knows what, or just in for programs but yeah, that circulation is great. So I'm really super pleased with that. Let's see what else. Our registered base of borrowers is just hovering above, well, it's at 19,424. So it's almost 19,500. It's been above 20,000, but then we like purged a bunch of people who hadn't used their library cards in years. And so that made it smaller. So it just doesn't seem like we can quite crack that 20,000 mark and stay above it, you know? But we'll keep working on that. And then let's see here, the self-checks, of course, are through the roof, but we're about 3,500 more than last month, which is great. But we still don't have, we're still comparing to the old technology from last year, which is why it's just 14,647. And then the holds, the difference between the holds we receive and the holds we send is still at that $5,000 or 5,000 mark. And we want that to go down. So we want that to get down low. So it's more balanced. So we're more sending out as many as we receive is kind of the concept. It's improving over time, but it's kind of stuck in that 5,200 area. And then materials added, we did almost 12,500 for the year, which is good. We're hovering right at that 1,200 plus each month, so that's really good. Reference has, been stable. I still don't know if they count very consistently, but on the other hand, at least we're just comparing how poorly they do it from one month to another. And then this next year, we'll try and select. We have to remember to try and select some timeframes to pull out and really, really focus on reference for those weeks. Programming, I thought was really interesting for children's particularly. We did only 20 programs in June, and we did 28 last month, and 21. Okay, that makes sense. Only 21 this time last month. But we had so many more people attending, and that's just the kids. But that's like 600. That's a lot. So that's impressive. And
Touch the Truck and all those.
yeah, Touch a Truck is growing.
Red Yarn.
Yeah, Red Yarn. Yeah. Cultural on the next page. Cultural passes is really up. Internet and Wi-Fi is kind of stable, kind of all over the place. Meeting rooms and social media. We're just comparing to this year. We haven't got statistics for beyond that. They look good. Volunteer hours are really high, I think, because our contribution to volunteer hours is getting higher at the library. And then the receipts is right in the ballpark of where it should be for a June, which is when we do the half off for the anniversary, our 1913 anniversary that we have every year. And let's see, so Touch a Truck was June something. June, I was gone, I know 18th. That. Yeah, 18th, exactly. And I was gone, I was bummed. It's the second time I haven't seen it. But Denise estimated it like 500 people. There was a ton of people.
The fire department handed out 500 hats.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Oh, that's great.
So it was probably more than that. It was probably 500 children.
Yeah.
But there was no possible way to count them. So
yeah,
it's 500.
Yeah, close enough. That was kind of like the May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
It's like we've got a door count, but yeah. And then the family concert series. So far we've had Red Yarn, and then Greta somebody today.
Greta Peterson was today. We had 132 people today.
Okay.
Last week we didn't have one. It was 4th of July.
Closed.
The week before was
Chuck Cheeseman.
Yes, we had
63.
Yeah, 163.
So
Looks like you had a good turnout for the author fair, the local author fair. Is that, it says 218, is that feel like a good amount? That's up above.
Gina was happy with it, so
yeah, no, I think that's really good. Yeah, that's a lot of people wandering in and out of a local author fair. The local author events have not brought in what they should at all. That could be timing. I don't know. I mean, Willie Bloughton is like wonderful speaker and a really interesting guy, and he's had a movie made out of one of his books, Lean on Pete, and she got 15 people, and I don't know if it was because it was on like a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, but it also might be when he was available, So it's really hard to, and then just a note about Pines from the Past, we did get 36 people, and we've been having them at, Midway Pub, but the room where we have it is very labor heavy. Like, we have to bring in extra chairs, we have to bring in all the AV, the sound is really bad. There's not like a screen, for the projector, we use a wall. There's like columns in the way that, block the view of some people. The tables that are set up along the wall, well, some of them are like, booths that you can't move. It's all the angle is very awkward. I'm in favor of like not continuing those in the same way next year. I mean, Aaron tends to spend hours on those things. And yeah, 36 people came, but it's not a great venue. I would really prefer to have much better quality sound, much better quality, like viewing, all that stuff, So I think we're gonna probably go on a bit of a hiatus with that one, which we've been doing like one every 3 months or something anyway. They're not that frequent. People really like the concept of it, because it's like a history talk that's out in a restaurant or a pub, People love the concept, but there are really very few places that are actually good to have these kinds of things. When you think about like, if there's other people there, will they be making a bunch of noise and or paying attention to it? You can't just force everybody in an establishment to like participate unless, you've got the owner like saying, this is what we're doing tonight. So that might kind of go away.
Because when you've done history kind of presentations at the library community room, those have been fairly well attended. So I don't know if it's or it's a different crowd that draws to come to an
It might be a
evening.
different crowd, but like really there's only been once or twice where we've had a Pines from the Past that has brought in such a huge crowd that it was like, oh, well, this is really definitely worth it. And it's the topic, not anything else. And it's like, if you talk about Willamette Falls, you will get people to come. And other stuff, not so much. And this was about George W. Sullivan and the plant out there, the PGE plant, so that is Willamette Falls, but it's even that, so you just have to be, I don't know. So I just really have to think about like staff time.
Right,
and like the use of their time, and is this a good way to, use it? So
No, I'd agree.
want
I just didn't know if the draw is really being in a venue that allows you to have a beer or
Right.
wine, or is it just, it's an evening event around history? Is it
Right.
the topic more so than the venue?
Yeah,
And that's what I think we
exactly.
have to sort of figure out, yeah. And I don't know.
what part is the draw?
Yeah.
I don't know. So it kind of allows you to have something during dinner time if you are at a place that can offer dinner, So, yeah, these things get really tricky to figure out, so anyway, heads up on that. Otherwise, what we're doing at the library is, we're still progressing on the building stuff. And that, we actually will be bringing a, scope of work and estimate to the, city commission to approve. It's at about $67,000 for the blinds, the baffle, and everything else that we need. That's all inclusive. And Tony's spending authority goes up to 50, so that's why we have to get commission approval, but it just goes on the consent agenda. It's like not a big thing, and we have money set aside for all that stuff, so we should be in good shape on that. I was really trying to get it done before the summer,
Before the summer,
That didn't
yeah,
work at
yeah.
all. So we've had like the same lighting problems and I think actually when we get those blinds and stuff too, and the baffle above the skylight, it will help us keep the foyer cooler. We won't be heating, spending so much trying to circulate cold air through that space, which is hard. It's a hard space to keep cool because of the sliding doors constantly opening and closing. So, let's see, other stuff going on at the library. Summer reading, summer reading, summer reading. What we thought we would do is at the end of August, once summer reading is over with, we'll combine summer reading statistics with like a kind of a year-end report wrap-up. Try to create something kind of pretty and have it available for people. So, I mean, now that we've got these great statistics to brag about, you know, I think it would be a good habit to get into, get people used to seeing some like what's going on at the library, maybe some highlights and some year-end statistics and summer reading statistics. I think that would be good. So we'll try and come up with something. Kristen Brown, who works for the city, is their new communications person, and she's just really helpful with stuff like that because she helped their library back in the town she came from in Texas, and she's got ideas about that. So I think that would be great. So this was a July thing, but we had 2 authors at the library today getting films. Denise got to meet them.
I did.
Yeah,
So
I saw some filming as I drove by.
did you see some filming going on? So we knew that we were approached by a production company from the UK who wanted to do some filming. And so we were like, sure, as long as you can do it in a part of the building that is not going to interfere with anything else. But they didn't really give us any details of what it was about. And then in walks Tess Gerritsen and Simon Toyle. So they're both, Tess in particular is a very well-known author. And they are being interviewed for a UK TV show about a case that happened in Oregon City. We looked it up online and it was the Malala Forest murder. And her book, Body Double, was based on this case. So they are interviewing her about the case. And so we took some, you know, nice photo op pictures with them.
Already on social
media. And I've asked them to let me know what the show was and when it's on so that we can see. They filmed it sitting in front of the Oregon collection in the library since it had to do with Oregon history. So it was pretty neat. We weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
Well, the weird thing too is they were standing in the lobby and we have the Friends of the Library book kiosk where they're selling things. And Simon's like, that's my book. We just happened to have his book standing there, face out. Yeah, and I'm like, okay. And then I ran upstairs when we knew we were going to take a picture just to grab one of Tessa's books. I had no idea what they were interviewing about. And the one I happened to pick, she's like, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Oh, that's perfect.
I know. So, yeah, so there's a little excitement in the library.
Yeah. These things are fun. We get film requests occasionally, and they work their way through the city first, actually. But, you know, it just depends on what they want, if we can accommodate them or not. I mean, it is a public building, but they can't just come interfere with everything or expect to shut the building down or whatever, you know, so. This was pretty non-invasive.
Yeah.
It worked out pretty well.
But they obviously wanted to be really low key. I mean, if you
They
could have,
did, yeah.
you could have
Because
promoted more. You know?
Right. We were surprised after Tess and Simon were there that the production company that I was talking to never even told us that they would be here.
Yeah.
It was just
not one mention.
No, just doing an interview and doing some research. So.
Yeah. Pretty fun. Anything else? It seems like we're just super busy and.
Is there an update on that video streaming?
Canopy has started.
Oh, it has?
Yeah, it started
Okay.
July 1.
Okay.
So it's kind of a 2-step process. You go to Canopy. If you go to our website, there's a bunch of information about it. You sign up, you create an account on Canopy, and then you access your account through the library. When you sign up on Canopy, it will ask you for your card number. And that way, when you go through the library, then it authenticates your user account to what we've agreed to do. So, and then you get 5 free choices for the month. We're starting with that until we see like what it really costs us and how many people are using it. And so we've heard good things so far. I mean, I think it's kind of like, you know, a soft rollout, which is fine, you know. But I believe we're the first streaming service library in Clackamas County. Yeah.
Like Oswego is going to be doing Canopy, but they're not yet. So we beat them to it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we beat them to it.
So will that appear in your statistics somewhere, or how will you track that?
That's a good question. We'll have to ask how we can do that. Well, Aaron will have to figure that out. Because we don't really break out like numbers of like database use and stuff, and this is kind of along those same lines, but it's different because all formats they're changing, they're different, right? So
Well, we will know too, because we'll get a monthly invoice.
we'll get a monthly invoice, that's right.
So we'll know how many.
Just because it's something new and just
Yeah.
kind of highlight.
Yeah.
You know.
So I don't have numbers for adult summer reading yet, but as far as I know, that's going well too. Do you know?
Over 300,
Over 300. Last year, was the total 500?
I think so.
Max,
It's a little bit
okay.
slower this year, I think.
All balances out. Yeah.
Any questions for Mo about library report? It's
Great.
all good stuff. I mean, I think, you said 100,000 more people. I'm just thinking like the carpet wear and tear.
Right?
You have to budget
yeah.
for replacement faster.
Oh, yeah. Well, maintenance, we've discovered is like a big part of our job, you know, in a bigger building like this. It's just, you know, like last Saturday, one of the condensers froze up because it was overworking, because whatever, you know, it's just, there's constantly something going on, you know, constantly something.
Yeah. I would imagine with that many people in and out, there's
Yeah.
the wear and tear and just keeping things looking good.
Yeah. Well, we've got.
I like every time I go up to those, adult fiction, there's like more books and books.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's not just magic. There's always somebody doing something daily to keep all that stuff going, and it takes a lot. It takes a little army of people doing things. We also have really good, a really great maintenance person for the city who likes us best, and so she focuses on us. Okay.
Okay. So then the next agenda item is the strategic planning update.
So we kind of wanted to bring you up to speed on what has happened to date, and then see if we can make some progress on the guiding principles. And I kind of put this together in a document for you. So we've had all of our stakeholder meetings. They were great. We kind of put all that stuff back together and reported back to staff on that. And the stakeholders had some comments about the vision that staff had come up with. And then the staff, the stakeholders, then their job was to come up with like a mission, or at least get us started or give us the concepts for what they wanted to see in a mission, which is kind of where that landed. It was more like we were kind of mashing together concepts. So on the vision, we started a vision statement that sounded something like, you know, in a thriving, safe, inclusive place, we will do blah, 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 blah. And one of the comments from the stakeholders was, from all the stakeholders was, we don't want to just focus on one place. The library is more than one place, at least, you know, if not, it is now already because it's virtual as well. But also in the future, it could be more places, even if it's just a book drop or a kiosk or whatever. It definitely, we want to envision the library as being more than one place in the future. So what we did is we tried to flip the statement so that the statement wasn't focused on this building as just one place. And that's why we put it at the end, and we created it, we turned it into spaces. So it's plural. And then the rest of the concepts are basically the same, with like so much wordsmithing that we went all the way around from where we started to like ending up there in some respects, and completely like rejecting certain things that we had liked in the first place. And, you know, people would be like, oh, diversity, it's so overused. And I'm like, well, you liked it 2 months ago. I don't know what's going on now, but, you know. So, but anyway, so we ended up with to promote literacy and learning, celebrate curiosity and diversity, and support transformation in thriving, safe, and inclusive spaces. Yes.
I'm not sure a space can thrive.
Oh, okay. Dang it, Larry.
I'm sorry, I don't want to be a grammar Nazi.
Right.
I was more curious about supporting transformation of just general transformation,
Growth.
growth.
Yeah.
Thriving, safe, and inclusive. I mean, I think you're
just take
true. I
thriving
don't think
We could take,
spaces thrive.
well, we
take
could just take
thriving out.
thriving out.
I think it's a good concept. I don't know how to work it in. I driving down here in all 5 minutes it took me. I tried to think about it, but I can't come up with a nice thing there. But I'm afraid that if this gets out into other places, that people might
Think the same
look
thing.
askance.
Yeah. No, this is why it goes through this like, you know, extreme vetting processes with a lot of eyes on it. That is, that's fine.
What we're saying is, well, let me ask, what exactly was meant by in a thriving space?
Well, I think to me, it meant that like the activity, there's a lot of activity, it's bustling, it gets well used, it's like a healthy turnaround of collection, you know, there's a lot of programs going on, it's alive, you know? And so that's why I thought thriving was like, okay word to use there, because it's almost like it's a bustling, you know, place filled with activity and life. So I know it doesn't have its own life, but it's a place where you see a lot of that. So is that kind of like
I
what
think
you
so.
were thinking? Yeah,
Yeah.
as well.
So the word just popped in my head was vibrant.
Vibrant.
Space can be vibrant.
A space
Well-
could be vibrant.
I think I like thriving just because it's basically saying it's like any creature, you know, it's well fed, it's running along, it's doing what it's supposed to do, and you know, getting smarter and doing better.
Well,
in its
right, but
life.
so what Larry's saying is that you can assign that to like a baby or something, but not an institution.
When I read it, I thought of H.P. Lovecraft.
I know.
Space
Well, I think
thriving.
I think an institution, an entity can thrive. I don't know about a
Yeah, entity
space.
can
I think
thrive,
that's-
sure.
You know, so maybe it's just the word, maybe it's the connection to space. I mean, I could argue either direction right
Yeah,
now. I mean, I like the concept of thriving because it does
I do like
imply
it also.
growth and change and movement, where vibrant is just another adjective. Thriving,
I'm thinking of the reverse, meaning it's collapsing, you know, it's the opposite of, you know, something is collapsing or it's degrading as it goes. This is something you want to have increasing in quote value rather than degrade. But it's how you use words. You know, English
Right.
language is strange.
Well, so it's thriving, safe, and inclusive, but then spaces just seems like the wrong word potentially.
Well, that might be a solution, yeah.
It's a little weird at that, yeah.
so if you change spaces to community, is that,
Well, but like, this is the vision for the library, not for the community.
yeah. But I think, but part of the vision for the library is to support community to thrive. I mean, you could think of your vision of the library is that you are supportive of the community, responsive to the community. Creating a thriving, safe, and inclusive community by doing these things.
About
There's a different way of,
environment, a thriving, safe and inclusive environment.
move the word thriving to between support and transformation, and support thriving transformation in a safe and inclusive spaces.
Well.
So are you okay with just sort of sending this back to you to continue to?
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do
Or,
then.
you know,
probably.
it's fine the way it is, but, you know, it can be misinterpreted.
Right. Well, we don't want it to be misinterpreted. We want it to be like really clear. And not for, you know, the first thing, when people read that, we don't want them to go, oh, like, there's something wrong with that, you know? Like, can a space thrive?
It was my first thought, I have to say.
Right. So, I mean, that's the thing. That's why I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay, so
Because if you're gonna think of it, somebody else will think of it.
I'm thinking,
I know, I'm sorry, Larry, sorry to tell you that.
I'm thinking support thriving transformations, plural, in safe, inclusive spaces. So you don't need the and.
Well, then the only thing that's thriving is the transformation,
Yeah,
not all the activity and everything else, you know, then it only
not the
modifies
safety and not the
transformation.
inclusiveness.
Because you're trying to, so it's kind of it's a vision of the library as a thriving entity.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
that's,
Like you said, you know, vibrant, part of the community. You know, all those things that would go along with healthy, robust, you know, entity in the community.
Yeah.
So, well, we don't need to solve this today, kind
Yeah,
of
it'll
thing.
work the way it is.
This is like the feedback that we need to get though. All right, and then the mission, this was more of a stakeholder thing. We empower every youth, adult, and senior in our service area through innovative, relevant, and varied resources and programs, responsive, well-trained, and personable staff, connections to other community resources and events, inclusive, accessible services to all, and welcoming spaces to serve individuals and build community.
I like that.
Great.
any other comments?
No
I
problem.
like it.
Good.
It'll work.
Okay, so we can live with that one, the way it is? Okay. So, and then, you know, we had talked about service responses. I had introduced you guys to those concepts of being like big, areas that we offer services in. So, there were 4 that all the stakeholders and all the staff agreed on without even like working very hard on this. And it's create young readers, stimulate imagination, know your community, and visit a comfortable place. So, and I mean, these are like no-brainers. Like I went through the 18 and those were like the first ones I had picked, or something very similar right away as well. The only thing that the stakeholders were really emphasizing that staff didn't is a service area or service response called diversity. And it actually, when we read I didn't bring my material
I didn't either.
today, but when we read the description of it, it was actually kind of limited.
It was.
It was really weird. It wasn't as broad and fabulous as you would think it would be. It was not written well, actually, at
It
all.
wasn't diverse.
It wasn't diverse, yeah, exactly. And I think when staff read it, we were kind of like, well, what we'd rather do is make sure that diversity is infused in all of these goals, you know, through this, that show up from the service responses. And I think that makes a ton of sense. So we just kept it at 4. And we feel like we can come up with like plenty of goals and objectives on 4, knowing that, you know, we're never going to not do one of the other 18 areas and anything else that somebody asks us to do, you know. These will just be our focus areas. And really when I think about like what we've started, these are perfect. They make perfect sense of what we've got going. So what Denise and I are doing is we are going to write some draft goals and objectives based on everybody's comments. But the first thing we did is we spent some time on making sure that we kind of had pulled in as much information as we needed to do. So we went and looked at the Oregon Public Library Standards, the Oregon Library Association Public Library Standards, which, you know, I've been on that committee for, as it turns out, 7 years now. We just went through and like kind of pulled all the items where we thought we needed more work on. And then we went to our existing strategic plan and pulled all those items where we feel we didn't really finish. And so what we're gonna do is kind of like get those all in order and kind of line them up under these. I think they'll fall really nicely into probably all of these service responses. And I mean, also knowing at the same time that we have to, unless we drop off things that we're doing, we have to continue what we want to do. And we also want to grow the stability of what we've already started in this building. So there's some infrastructure that needs to still become a little bit more robust in the way of like just making sure our position descriptions are well written and our policies are in line and stuff. And that's kind of where some of the standard stuff comes in. But so what we wanted to do is kind of sort that out, see what gaps we have, bring this all together, and then make sure that our goals and objectives cover everything that we really need to spend the next 5 years doing. So that we don't have like major surprises down the road and go, oh, oops, I never thought of that. We need to spend 6 months doing blah, blah, blah. You know, so some of it won't be sexy because it will be kind of like business things that need to just always be paid attention to, but it will be a focus of time and as such need to like show up somewhere, I think. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are right now. We need to like really spend some more time in the thinking area, collating, and then seeing what comes out of that. I think you probably won't be too surprised out of what we come up with will be kind of an extension of what we've like started going down certain paths, you know? So that's where we are on the strategic planning. And then there's this kind of unattended to portion, which is the library board portion, which is what we had called previously the guiding principles. And so we kind of said we would come back to these. We're thinking of them more as value statements, which I think is a really good way to view them. But I don't really know what you want to do with them.
Yeah.
I know you talked about rewriting them a bit.
Well, I think it was just to review them. I don't know if
Review
anybody
them?
had a major desire to rewrite, but I
Okay.
think I think it was, as you say, is to look at them. Do they still fit? How do they fit within the new vision and mission? Are they still relevant? You sent all of those examples, which
I know, yeah.
a lot to try and sort through. It looked like Don did some work.
Yeah, previously.
Okay,
yeah.
so that was, I couldn't tell that was previous to, but it wasn't to this one
No,
particular. Okay.
that was back in the day.
Okay.
I had just pulled all that stuff from, which is kind of how we got to this point.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, so my first look at him was like, well, that seems okay. I don't know that I had major, like, we're missing something, so I'm only turned to the group. Do we feel like we're missing anything out of the guiding principles, or do you feel like there's been anything missing to you, like you wish you'd had a value statement, or we wanted to do something, but it didn't really fit?
I like it. Sounds good to me.
I mean, I think when I looked through some of the other materials you sent, there were a couple words that popped out at me. The one about intellectual freedom, and I think we use that on our statement somewhere. So I think that was from Seattle. And then fostering communication, which may be in here, but it's that kind of sense of that it's a two-way communication. We do have that, a gather space for people and ideas to connect. That's sort of there. So
They're nice action words.
Aren't they? well, DA spent a bunch of time coming up with these. Remember that process? Were you in on that?
I was not in on that.
Okay, so we
It's
had
all
kind of.
before I
We had kind of, well, to go back, which is why it would have been nice if Don was here, but anyway, we came up with some statements and DA Hildebrand, looked at him, he's like, we need better verbs. And I'm like, okay. So he went and found a bunch of really good verbs. And, because we were all, we couldn't come up with any. I mean, we weren't coming up with very good ones. And he found a bunch and he suggested them and we were all like, oh my gosh, that makes such a difference. So.
So they all seem still very appropriate to me. I don't know where, except for this concept of intellectual freedom, which might be in there, offering equal access to the vast range of information and resources, but I think it's a concept that's taken on some new importance. So that ability to have access to a range of information, I mean, of diverse opinions and perspectives. That's not restricted by anyone.
Maybe we could just add that, what we said in that plaque that we put out.
Oh, our
It had-
statement?
Yeah. Maybe
Like
just
all
add
are
that
welcome
verbatim,
and to that, yeah. Just the, I can't even remember what it says.
Can't either. I think intellectual freedom was in that.
Something about
Something.
that was in
Yeah.
there. Do you remember that plaque we had made?
It covers it in the second paragraph. Read the whole thing. Conducting all interactions with respect and acknowledges the diversity and individuality of our community members.
Yeah, I guess it's, so that would be my only one to consider if there's a statement that would, or if it tucks in somewhere that calls out that concept. And I think, like Scott says, I probably should look at what we wrote on that plaque.
You should look at that.
But, to me, it's part of that issue of, we've got books that have been banned and
Yeah, the
materials.
lack
that
of, we don't censor
We don't
all that
censor, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Another concept that you might want to work in here just a little bit is, how do I say this? Here we're being like filmed. Promote the value of facts. Something along those lines. Not that you want to tell anybody, like,
Alternate fact.
yeah, what, people have to have access to enough information to make their own decisions. And I'm not talking about opinions. I'm like, but we've always been known for being able to direct people towards factual information, which is really critical. How would you say that, Larry?
Usually, I think the euphemism is quality information.
The euphemism. So we definitely could pop that in there if it's not really popping up anywhere else.
Because it seems to me it's part of, being, I assume one of the parts of being a reference concept is helping people sort through information and facts and how do you understand the source of this and.
It's certainly one of the most important things that libraries do now, and unfortunately, people don't ask for it often enough.
Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking, yeah, we do it, but we don't really talk about like anywhere specifically about how we're doing it for a reason, kind of, I mean, there is a different emphasis on that because news has changed. News has changed, and news is not like, you can't always trust it. I know, but like it's gotten even worse and worse and worse.
It is. Yeah.
It's worse and worse and worse. And it's harder and harder and harder for people to tell the difference. And I just read something today that was saying, all about this information literacy that, we've been talking about as librarians for years and years and years. And there's a lot of people just kind of finally catching on in the world that like, we really need to like value our factual information, because really poor decisions can be made based on other information when you cannot tell the difference between what is factual and what is not.
I think another catchphrase that could be thrown in somewhere is critical thinking.
There you go, critical thinking. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Isn't that in the plaque, I think?
I'm not sure. I will get that information.
Do you remember
to
when
them.
we did that plaque? How long ago it's been?
Maybe 2 years?
No, it hasn't been that
Yeah.
long. We didn't get it back from, well, we decided to do it a long time ago. We only got it back. like,
Yeah, about a year ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you used even the word here, information literacy. And that's another concept. So critical thinking, information literacy, you said quality
Quality information.
Something about judging information sources, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if underpinning that is, and this is maybe where we're being cautious, is that part of what you want from the library is to help members be an informed community that can
Right.
act out community values and in a
Right.
democracy. And be an informed citizenry to partake in.
And in addition to news problems, some of the strangest websites are starting to look very, very good. I was looking at the Flat Earth websites, and it's spooky.
Really? So people could be easily fooled into thinking
People
it's
could.
like super, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that you like what we have, and if anything, you'd want to maybe add to them. So why don't you let us like tweak these and either add a couple words onto things that exist, or maybe even create a new one and see what you think about it next month or whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks great the way it is.
I
but,
mean, yeah.
I think critical thinking and, what'd you say? You said,
Intellectual freedom
Intellectual
or-
freedom, yeah, those, to me, those are the, just to see those two in this would be just perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And you might be able to fit those into advanced literacy and a love of lifelong learning.
Yeah, we
or
might be
something,
able
and there's,
to.
you know, kind of your.
Let us
concepts.
play with it and see what it looks like, and we'll shoot it back to you.
And look what we wrote in our own plaque.
Yeah, and look at
Which
the
was sort of our
plaque.
statement of values. I
Look
think
at
we did that.
the
That was
plaque.
kind of a statement of values.
It was, we were trying to make a statement of values, because it might be something we can just add, and it
Yeah.
encompasses everything, who knows? That would be pretty funny.
I'll have to look at the plaque.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right at the, above the bench, as you come in between the double doors on 6th Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we borrowed it from someone.
Borrowed it from a college or university
Yeah.
somewhere.
But then rewrote it.
And then we-
'Cause I remember going back.
Yeah,
and
just
forth.
slightly, yeah, uh-huh. We did, that's right, good memory. And then we put it on some of the wood that we had left over. Gotta use that wood.
So folks agree that we're happy with what's here. We want to just tweak it, add maybe a couple other concepts, look at what we wrote on the plaque that was sort of underlying values. And
Okay.
then we'll let Mo and Denise do that and come back with some language. Very good.
Sounds fine to me.
Yep.
Okay.
I actually have a picture of the plaque.
Do you? Great.
This is your library. Inspiring discovery, championing the search for truth, defending intellectual freedom, protecting privacy, open and safe for all. This is your library.
Lovely statement.
Goosebumps.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think looking for some of those words, just that they're in here that underpins that. So yeah, great word.
Well, you could even
Championing
just
truth.
use that as like the heading for these things too, potentially, you know? You could say something like, you could like start with that. And then you could say like, the guiding principles are, or our value statement is, our value statements are, whatever. Yeah. Or we could just like take off some of the language on that and make it another statement or whatever. Well, we'll let us play with it. We'll give you a few
Yeah.
options. How's that? Man, I
maybe it
really
could
like
be
that
like under
statement. We're
mission,
really
yeah.
good, aren't we? We're really good. Wow.
You want to maybe
Kind of forget how
be a
awesome
mission
we are.
statement there.
Yeah,
Or a vision.
yeah. It's inspiring me. Wow. Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
That's what I got.
all right. Anything else? Any other questions around strategic planning? For those of, the two of you that represented us, did the where they've gone make sense with where you were in your stakeholders
Yeah,
group? Okay,
absolutely.
cool. Great. We'll move on to communications. I will start with the Friends.
The Friends. The Friends seem to be doing well. They've got more money than they expected, it appears. And their book sales are quite good. And people are dropping off a lot of stuff, and they're wondering, where in the hell are we going to store this?
Yeah,
And
they're full.
they're full, and right now they're planning on their big celebration for the 20th anniversary, and so they have a number of things they're working on. They seem to be busy, and I don't. You have anything to add?
They seem to be busy. I want to prepare you guys. Probably there will be some changes with the Friends down the road. First of all, I think Harriet is planning on retiring at some point. So that will be big because she's really like led that thing. Been a very big driver, especially in the last few years. And then I expect at some point in time that the bookstore itself will probably not be able to maintain its lease over there because of the cost. I think the cost will go up once their current lease expires. So it'll be really interesting to see what they evolve into. They've got a good core of people that work over there, but it will be just interesting.
I believe last time I heard they had well over a year left on that.
Oh, yeah, I think they've got up to 3 years.
Yeah, left on
Yeah.
that lease, but they have
So-
to figure out where they can go
Exactly.
unless they can make some sort of deal with the people there.
Yeah, and who knows? The people that bought that building have put a lot of money into the building, so I expect they'll want to see some return on their investment, so I would be very surprised if their lease rate remained the same, but maybe it would still be doable. But, they do more for us than just like give us money. What they end up doing for the city is taking donations. And we don't have to think about it at all.
Yeah.
And at other public libraries, up to a full person's time can be spent sorting and dealing with donations, and we don't ever have to even touch them. Like, it's very rare that we even take like one book, you know? And it all goes through them, and it's really, really helpful. I cannot tell you how much staff time that saves us. And then on top of that, they like provide a very, very nice used bookstore to the community. And they provide all kinds of funding to the library, you know, and a lot of support.
The other thing they do is they check with the library as to find out if they've got things that the library needs.
Yep. So if they get some, you know, nice hardback things, they find out if we need more copies of it or whatever. So, so so a change to them will mean a change to us in some way, shape or form, you know? And they've been such a strong organization. So, you know, I think they can maintain being a strong organization, but I think they will have to go through some kind of evolution process here, which will be really interesting to see how that goes. So it's like all volunteer institutions do that, you know, they have to.
And Harriet seems to be a pretty good leader, so that's
Yes.
going to be tough to replace her.
It's gonna be really tough to replace her, I think, at this point. Because no matter what you do, you always have to have like those certain individuals that carry the flag for everybody and, you know, just kind of keep it going. So she's that.
And so those are, but you're right, they all go through those changes.
Yep,
And
we
then
all
a new
go-
leader
yep,
will emerge and it'll
exactly.
look different.
Yeah, it'll just be different. This time, I think what make it really different is the
Space.
the space, yeah. So that'll be really interesting to see what happens there. But who knows?
So thank you.
Welcome.
The others, the foundation hasn't met or done anything since our last meeting. I don't think we meet again till August sometime. And, let's see, LDAC. Are they taking the summer off or are they meeting?
We met, but I can't even remember when the last time was. There's a subcommittee meeting coming up that I'm supposed to attend as chair of directors group. And it's next Friday, but then LDAC itself is not meeting until, September. And then in the meantime, like, so it's probably in September. Let's see, the state report is due October 1, and probably that would be a good time also for us to like, go through the standards and just make sure we're comfortable with where we are in the standards, even though they're in the process of changing again. Actually, not again, they're finally like, it's not content very much, it's just mostly format. So we're finally back working on that again. So I think in the fall, we've got some work cut out for us as well. We'll probably have like a final strategic plan that we want to adopt in the fall. Once we get a lot of the stuff figured out. So
Okay.
there's some work ahead of us. And then we'll be starting the budget cycle for the next biennium as well.
Okay.
So,
Well, another thing about the Friends, they're not gonna have a meeting next month,
Okay.
are we?
And we had some preliminary talk about, I think in the fall, maybe having a joint meeting. Once the strategic plan was adopted, maybe a joint meeting between the board, the Friends, and the foundation, just to
Right.
kind of, so here's our plan, here's the
Yeah.
strategic direction for the next 5 years. How do we all parse that out or think about that?
Right.
That may be later in the fall, and,
Yeah,
just to
we'll have
serve
to
as,
see where the timing
But I
is.
think just want to lose sight of that I think that would be a valuable thing to do.
I agree.
To meet together.
yeah, I agree. That would be really helpful, particularly to the foundation, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the foundation is sort of like, we want to fundraise, but we don't know what to fundraise for. You need to have something. So,
Yeah. You can't just say,
yeah.
I want your money without
Yeah.
saying where you're putting it towards. You won't get much. That's the problem. Yeah.
So Ken raised the question about our August meeting, because we were just sort of letting it depend on where we were with strategic planning. But it seems like my gut sense is we probably should meet if you're going to have stuff to keep it. Is that helpful? Will you be at a point to bring something?
Yeah, will we have stuff? That's the question.
I guess maybe that's the question. Will you have,
So I have a vacation coming up. Do you have anything?
I have no vacation coming up, but one can hope, but one will not promise.
and meeting draft goals and objectives that you're ready to start kind of.
Right, that's what
Because
we would
otherwise
try
it's
to-
not until September
Right.
and then means the final strategic plan is, just that
Yeah.
much further down the road,
Yeah.
but.
We probably should try and bring something by August. It would make for better timing if we could kind of keep that going.
Okay,
Yeah.
is that okay, or are you planning to be on?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm fine, I just want to know.
So why don't we keep our regular August meeting date,
Okay.
if perchance the work doesn't happen, but I think to keep on schedule of moving
Yeah, because
things forward.
with the
Even if you have
state
very
statistics and all that
drafty
stuff,
stuff,
I
it's-
would rather get your feedback
Yeah.
than not have anything.
So, whatever date
Keep-
that
keep
is
me
in
honest, give me a
August.
deadline, please.
Yeah. I don't, off the top of my head, don't know the date in August, but well,
Oh,
and so that would be our next so for future agenda items would be basically continuing to watch, to feedback on the strategic plan and direction.
That'll be August 8th.
Okay, August 8th. Any other agenda items? It sounds like the LDAC report stuff won't be probably till September, maybe October, that you need feedback. So August 8th will be our next meeting with mostly, again, a focus on strategic plan. And anything else for the good of the order? Board meeting adjourned at 6:06.